What's going on YouTube? So about 6 months ago, you may have caught our review on the refreshed 2024 Kia Sorento. However, there was a catch.
The whole Sorento lineup was not refreshed last year. Kia left the hybrid models, and that's what we're sitting in today, the 2025 Sorento Hybrid.
So is this heavily updated 34 mile per gallon 3-row SUV the family SUV for you? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, of course, let's kick things off under the hood with our spec dump. So for the Sorento Hybrid, you're going to find a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, plus your electric componentry for a total system power output of 227 horsepower. Now that is going to be paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, we're coming in at 34 miles per gallon combined.
Now we of course have a lot more to talk about in the test drive part of this video. On that test drive, we're also going to be getting things like our signature sound level reading. Later on in the video, we'll also be talking about resale value and reliability, which is a new element we're adding to our reviews.
But the Sorento has always had a very bold exterior design. It gets even bolder this year, and we also have a lot of changes to talk about on the inside, so let's get into it. Now, like I said, there are some pretty substantial changes to the exterior design for 2025 on the hybrid model. It brings it in line with the changes that you saw last year on the 2024 Sorento ICE models. And as you can see, we have a very distinct front look. So this is Kia's latest Tiger Nose grille. They keep changing the shape of it. This one is a little bit more like straight up here at the top. You have the full gloss black finish running through here, and then the satin silver accent that runs through here. By the way, you cannot get the X-Line with the hybrid model, and this is also going to be just available in 2 trim levels, EX and SX Prestige, the fully loaded model. That's what we have today. Now, let's talk about the lighting. That's really the most distinct change for 2025. As you can see, we have a brand new headlight cluster. This is a full LED unit projector with the stacked design. We also have this gigantic daytime running light and turn signal indicator that runs all the way through here for a very distinct look. Amber finish on that as well. And then down below, we have standard LED fog lights as well. Now, as we walk around to the rear design, you will see a slate of changes as well, just like with the front.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and break down those changes. So Drew's gonna hop inside and show you a major change for the refresh, which would be the taillight shape and overall design. They have, manipulated this a little bit for 2025 and the refresh. So we have an LED brake light portion through here, LED turn signal indicator, LED accent around the outside edge, and then as far as your reverse light, that's going to be incandescent and integrated down here in the bumper. I do want to point out though, if you want the LED componentry right here, you do have to get that top end SX trim level. Now as we head to this lower area, we do have a HEV badge right here to show that you have the hybrid. We have a wiper integrated underneath of the spoiler. And then as far as exhaust outlets, you're not going to find any on the Sorento Hybrid. Your tow rating is reduced down to 2,000 pounds compared to the gasoline versions.
Now, when it comes to the wheel options, these are going to be different than your gas Sorento models. You actually have standard 19-inch alloys on both trim levels, so it's going to be a little bit smaller on the SX Prestige like we have today. It also has a unique design where we have the aero covers here in the center, and then we have these small contrast elements on the outside edges. It's definitely a very interesting look that stands out. As we move up here to our mirrors, we are going to have standard blind spot monitoring and heating. We also have power folding as well.
Now here at the side, you're going to see that traditional Sorento design theme. We come in at an overall vehicle length of 189 inches long. And if you're curious about what this paint color is called, this is called Cityscape Green. It has a really cool look, especially here in person. Now, when it comes to your safety systems for this model, I do want to point out that you're going to get really all of them as standard equipment. Now, the one caveat to that is that with this fully loaded SX Prestige, you're going to add a few extra goodies like Highway Drive Assist 2.0, which is a little bit more advanced, as well as rear auto braking. But guys, there's a very luxurious cabin that we need to dive into, so let's go ahead and get into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior. First, of course, we'll take a look at the key fob. Latest Kia design on board. Your buttons are located over here on the side. You have a standard smart entry system, and you also have standard remote start right there. Now, as we walk up to the Sorento model, it senses your approach. It'll go ahead and fold the mirrors outward, and then you can just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And taking a look inside the interior. Of course, you're gonna see really the latest and greatest Kia design language kind of applied here to this Sorento hybrid. And before we get into all the specific details of what's changed versus the old Sorento hybrid, let's talk about our seats. So on the EX trim, you'll have a leatherette seat. However, if you go for the SX Prestige, that's gonna get you this quilted real leather. As you can see, beautiful design on board. We have the gray color. You can also get something called dust blue, which is a really kind of bougie option if you want something that really, really stands out. But this is lovely either way, and I definitely like the overall design. Now, there's some special things about the SX Prestige. First of all, we have more adjustments to the seats. These are gonna be 14-way power adjusting, and we have things like power thigh extension. The other thing that's exclusive to SX Prestige is the fact that we have memory seats right there on the door trim. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that I'm fully inside the cabin, let's look at the rest of the materials in here. We'll start with our door trim. We have a nice leatherette covering through here, cool stitching detail through the center section, soft touch plastic along the top. Along the upper dash, this is a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. We have basically a faux aluminum trim that runs all through the center section, and then down on our lower panels, these are not going to be padded. It does feel nice and solid though, and then all the center console will be finished in a piano black. Overall, very nicely done interior, not quite calligraphy Santa Fe level, but still very nicely done, especially if you get that blue I was mentioning earlier. Let's fire it up. All right, let's get into some individual details, beginning with our gauge cluster. So obviously one of the huge changes this year is the fact that we've gone to a dual screen setup. It's all kind of one curved system through here, and that includes your gauge cluster. On SX Prestige, you have the full 12.3-inch digital cluster. It's gonna be a little bit downgraded from this if you go for that EX version. This has the special features, including our blind spot camera system. Just be aware that a head-up display is not offered on the Sorento. Now, as we pull back, you'll move past our rain sensing wipers. You'll also see our nice leather wrapped steering wheel with gloss black accents. The wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping. It is also going to have standard heating on the SX Prestige. Now, let's turn over here and take a look at interior storage. This is a pretty big SUV after all, and inside, you're going to see quite a few donuts. We like to do the Car Confections donut test because this is our emblem. This shows us the volume of the center console, and the answer today is 16 donuts. So that is really quite impressive. This is very deep, so you can really stack them in here quite nicely. In addition to that, you're going to find a little bit more storage as well. So if we pop open this console area, you're going to find a little rubber mat right here. This section is also going to be devoted as a wireless phone charging pad. And then you've got some new USB-C connections for 2025. Now, one of the distinct differences about the hybrid versus the gas models is the fact that you have this rotary shifter. I like this design. It really reminds me a lot of Genesis. Twist over here to D for drive. You do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, and twist over here to R for reverse. The shifter actually gives you haptic feedback when you go into reverse, so that's a cool touch. And if you have the SX Prestige, you're going to see the 360 camera pull up when you go into reverse. This has a lot of cool functions. The coolest of them all, though, is the fact that you can spin all around the vehicle like that. And then just press the top right there to go into park. Behind the shifters, where you're going to find things like your drive mode controller. You'll also find your electronic parking brake and brake hold function. And speaking of, let's go ahead and look at our main climate controls. We've got a dual zone automatic setup on board. This is the design where you can switch between your audio controls and your climate controls with the same button. This is, like I said, dual zone climate, so it's very simple to make those main adjustments. Everything else is going to be touchscreen capacitive. Now, Speaking of, let's go ahead and switch to our audio system so that we can take a sample of the 12-speaker Bose sound system here on the SX Prestige. Yeah, so overall, this system is pretty nice. Certainly fills up the cabin well. Only thing I would like to have is maybe a metal speaker grill. All right, now let's dive into big technology improvements for 2025. So this is probably, honestly, based on you guys' comments, the thing you're most concerned about with the 2024 Sorento was when are they going to improve the software and give us wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay? Well, look at this. They did. Here's my phone, and we are wirelessly connected to this brand new infotainment system. Everything's very smooth on board, and it all works very nicely. Paired my phone in actually 5 seconds time, so that's very impressive. Now here's what the main software looks like. Again, smooth, updated graphics. You do have built-in navigation with the SX Prestige as well. Now as we rise above, come with auto-dimming mirrors. This is the digital camera system though. On the SX Prestige, you have HomeLink remotes built in right there. Another thing SX Prestige is going to get you is this large panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this whole front panel does lift open and give you a nice open air experience. And then one last thing to mention, SX Prestige gives you the full Alcantara headliner.
And let's dive into the rear seat area for this Sorento hybrid. Now, when it comes to this space, there is a lot of space. 41.7 inches of legroom is what you're sitting at, 39.1 inches of headroom. As far as how it compares to most of the rivals in this segment, that's one of the largest offerings that money can buy. Now, I do want to point out a few different things. First of all, I want to get our legroom figure. That's one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews, or our knee room figure, excuse me. So from the seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9" for reference, we're sitting at a solid 8 inches of additional knee space. I can also slide my feet up underneath of the seat for additional comfort. The seats do slide forward and back a very good distance. As you can see, it can actually touch the seat, so that's easy for parents if you need to reach back to the seat itself, and then you can slide all the way back as well as recline a very good distance. So very, very comfortable rear seat. Now you're probably noticing that we have captain's chairs. That's actually standard on EX grades of the Sorento and above, so it will be standard on all hybrid versions of this vehicle. Now, as far as other features, we have vents here in the center. We also have USB ports integrated into the back of each seat back. They're the Type-C variety. Down below that, 12-volt outlet, household outlet as well. Not done yet when it comes to features, because over here on the door trim, you will notice that we have rear window sunshades. That is included on this SX Prestige. Also included on this SX Prestige are heated rear seats. So you'll notice the button there for that. We definitely don't need heated rear seats today because it's about 100 degrees, but it is nice that that's included on the top trim. All of the materials are follow through from the front, and I do want to point out it does fit nice big bottles here in the door trim. I don't have my Stanley here with me, but it would fit the Stanley right there in that center console. And let's check out the third row of the Sorento. That's one of the nice things about this vehicle, is that you get that as standard equipment. In order to get back here, just press that button right there. That allows the seat to electronically fold and slide out of the way. And once we climb back here into the third row itself, we're sitting at about 29 inches of legroom, about 37 inches of headroom. For someone who is 5'9", like I mentioned earlier, headroom is going to be a bit lacking. My head is kind of hitting the ceiling here. Also, the legroom with the seat slid all the way back, so keep in mind you can slide this forward quite a bit, is not going to be any additional space. My feet can kind of slide up underneath the seat, so that's good. The thigh support is probably the area that you're going to be most concerned with, and that's not fantastic. However, do keep in mind, most things in this segment don't have a third row at all, so this is kind of, just a bonus third row. As far as how it compares to something like a Toyota Highlander, it's pretty much right on par. As far as other features, we do have a little storage cubby over here on the side, USB-C port on both sides as well. Do keep in mind though, there are not any air vents here in the third row. So as far as how this is going to land on the third row rating scale, I'd say this is going to be fit for kids only. Now we're going to have a standard power tailgate on all versions of the Sorento Hybrid, since that is standard on EX trims and above. It does have the hands-free ability as well. Now, as far as the space is concerned, about 13 cubic feet behind the third row of seats. If I easily fold these down, that's going to reveal about 38 cubic feet of space behind the second row. If I fold all the seats down, which I can do easily because we have electronic buttons right here to fold the second row seats, we're sitting in around 75 cubic feet. So that's a good space figure overall. It's going to be right in line with that of the competition. And one of the other things that we do in all of our Car Confections review is get the cargo length figure from Drew's seating position to the rear of the cargo area. In this regard, we are looking at about 78 inches of overall cargo length from behind the first row. Behind the second row, about 42 inches. Third row, only about 16 inches. As far as the overall cargo width, 42. Cargo height is about 30 inches tall. So it's going to be a little bit less practical than its sibling mate, the Santa Fe, because that's a big box, so you have a little bit more space, a little bit wider dimensions as well, so do keep that in mind. Do be aware you won't find any additional storage under here, and the spare tire is actually going to be located underneath of the bumper. Alright guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Sorento Hybrid. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, so that was taking it up to 60 miles per hour. Now, obviously, the hybrid is going to be a fundamentally different powertrain arrangement versus the ICE models. There's actually 4 different powertrains that you can choose across the entire Sorento lineup, so you've got a lot of different choices. For the hybrid, though, specifically, you're looking at the 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but of course that is supported by your battery electric componentry, and your total system, again, is 227 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. So pretty good, especially on the torque figure. And you do have the instantaneous torque, which is delivered through the electric system. So that does kind of give you a nice feel off the line. Now we were accelerating there in the Eco drive mode. That's going to be the default for this model, and that's of course going to help you achieve maximal efficiency. But in that mode, there was a little delay, I guess, before all the systems get going, but you can obviously kind of mitigate that by going into sport mode or one of the other drive modes.
Yeah, and once it did kick in there, I think the torque was very impressive. It really pushes you back in your seat. As compared to the base powertrain setup that you'll get on this model, it's going to be quite a lot faster. It's not quite as fast as the 2.5-liter turbo that you can get in the Sorento, but I think it's a really good middle ground. And like we said at the spec dump, this does get really good fuel economy, especially for a 3-row SUV like this. So certainly that is your main benefit. Now, they do also offer the plug-in hybrid variant as well. That has up to about 30 miles of EPA estimated range. We're not going to go too in-depth about that system. However, do just keep in mind it just adds a larger battery pack to get you that all-electric range to this same hybrid setup here. It's going to be making a little bit more horsepower. It's about 261 horsepower overall for that plug-in hybrid variant.
The other nice thing I noticed about this hybrid system is that it's very quiet. The engine really doesn't make much noise at all. Now let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain, which is one of the more unique elements about what Hyundai and Kia Group does with their hybrid systems. They actually pair them with conventional automatic transmissions. So this has a 6-speed automatic transmission as opposed to the vast majority of the competition, which will be using continuously variable transmissions. I think because of that, you might enjoy that more traditional feel. Overall performance of the transmission is plenty smooth as well.
Yep, and I do also want to point out that you can get both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive with this hybrid system, which is another thing that is, unique about the hybrid systems, because like Toyota gives you all-wheel drive as standard, so you do have the option of getting front-wheel drive, which I think is good for hybrid because it gets you better fuel economy. So if you don't need that all-wheel drive capability, you can opt for the front-wheel drive version, which bumps your MPG up by 2, so you can get up to 36 miles per gallon with the front-wheel drive hybrid, or 34 miles per gallon combined with this all-wheel drive hybrid version. All right, but we're just getting up to speed here, and I do want to talk about ride quality for this Sorento. Now, there's a couple things worth noting here. First of all, it is a very comfortable SUV, as you would expect. This is not like too sporty or anything along those lines. However, it depends on what you're comparing it to. I say a lot of you guys may be cross-shopping this with the Santa Fe, its sibling mate. This is definitely going to be on the firmer side when it comes to both ride quality as well as the seats inside the cabin, so do keep that in mind. The Santa Fe is a very soft vehicle, so depending on what you may be comparing it to, this is going to be a little bit more on the firm side, although I will say that it's still very comfortable overall, so you're not going to be like having your teeth jarred out. As you can see, we go over a bridge or whatnot, you can feel some intrusion into the cabin, but it's not really bad ride quality or anything.
It's still, I think it's in line with most of the rest of the class as well. Also, because of that, it does feel, more agile behind the wheel. Body roll is pretty minimized, and this is certainly going to feel like a smaller option as well than the Telluride.
Yeah, but we're going 55 miles per hour, so let's go ahead and knock fan speed down to 1, and we get our sound level reading. 54.3 decibels is where we're sitting at for our official Car Confections sound level reading, and we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the competition because we can find that on carconfections.com/sound level readings. On our website, we posted all of this vehicle's competition, and let's see how it compares. As a matter of fact, that is a very good sound level reading. It's actually one of the very best that we've ever tested out in this segment. It comes in a little bit quieter than stuff like the Hyundai Santa Fe that we've also tested out. So very impressive. I think part of that has to do with the fact that the engine was off at the very beginning of that sound sample, which is, of course, a benefit of having a hybrid. If you're under light loads, the engine will just go ahead and turn off, even at highway speeds. So very quiet cabin. It feels very premium in here. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
Yeah, for the Slam Dunk, we're going to see the 2025 changes. They really listened to, I think, customer feedback, and they changed the things that people wanted them to change, particularly the technology. That's a big thing that I know a lot of you guys will be happy to know, having the wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
On the Airball side of things, though, what we are going to say is just when you're looking at a fully loaded Sorento with its most commonly cross-shopped vehicle, probably the Hyundai Santa Fe, that fully loaded is going to have a few more features. So the calligraphy will have the head-up display, rear climate controls, a couple extra goodies that this vehicle does not have. So, depending on your personal taste, you may be a little bit disappointed that this SX Prestige, that's a tongue twister, is, a little bit less loaded than a Santa Fe. Lastly, here, when it comes to your warranty, you do have Kia's signature warranty, which is going to be a 5-year 60 basic, 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain. Let's talk pricing for the Sorento Hybrid. We're starting at $38,690 for that EX trim level. If you want the SX Prestige, we do elevate up to around $47,000 as a starting point. Once you add in just a few, options like floor mats and $1,375 for destination, we're sitting at $48,490 as tested today for this Kia Sorento Hybrid. Now, if you're looking to buy a Sorento hybrid or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now first up, we'll talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Sorento hybrid's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, this Sorento will be worth around 49% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.1% of its original MSRP. Now, it is worth noting that it is below some of the main rivals you may be cross-shopping with, like Toyota, Honda, and those Japanese brands. However, it is pretty much on par with other American brands like Ford.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more complete picture. In this respect, Kia is rated above average for reliability.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car certainly is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the refreshed 2025 Kia Sorento Hybrid. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to become a part of our automotive family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and we review a lot of cars, so you won't want to miss out on that fun. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.